Hi, welcome to another episode of the JSWORLD podcast. My name is Christopher. I work as a consultant at Passionate People, and right next to me is
Konstantin, also named as Kisu, so I work also for Passionate People. I'm Nuxt.js ambassador and helper on Stack Overflow. And we also have...
I'm Pooya. I'm a consultant at Passionate People. I work on open source Nuxt, and also my nickname is PI0. It's not PO, it's PI0. Because I like P number. I like Pi number.
Pi. Pi 0.
Yeah. If you check his GitHub donation page, you can see that it's following all the Pi numbers, so 3, then 31, then 340.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Nice.
GitHub.com/Pi0.
Yeah.
Also have a special error code, 314. It's PI0. It's not reserved. You can use this status code.
Oh,
and in my home server, when you reach it, it's the same status code.
Okay.
Oh, that's
Nice.
cool. That's nice. That means you must really love the number pi. But
I don't know why, to be honest.
more importantly, do you like actual pi?
Apple pie? I think those people like it.
Apple
they love
pie?
it.
But what about you, though? I mean, since we're talking about pie, now I'm hungry for pie, actually.
Can we get some pie, please?
Yes, a supply. Can we get some pie, please?
Isn't it?
Yes?
Yeah, I love pies. Also raspberry pies, any pie.
Yeah.
Just name it.
Oh, he got us. He got
I can
us.
find a girlfriend called Pie. I won't mind.
Hey, so you just got off stage. How was the talk? How did it go?
Well, to be honest, I'm super happy because usually I never prepare myself. You can't believe I never practice. Like I find the words when I'm writing the slides, but I never practice like what I'm going to talk about. Because like usually I just look at the audience. I want to just feel them. And similar to a class, like when I was teaching university, I was just feeling the audience, like what they're expecting, and just try to generate the words. It's like a risky game because you can just fuck up.
Yeah.
But I'm super happy. It was a nice presentation. I tried to explain everything inside Nuxt, what's going on since past 2 years, because especially in past 2 years when I was at stage here, I was promising something going beyond full stack, and this year we are actually there. So I was super excited to just mention about this, that this was a result of the 2 years after what we promised, we finally are there.
Wow, that's nice.
So it's
man.
nice.
That's really nice.
It's super nice to get back in real life.
I mean, right? It's finally we have a proper in-person conference again with a full house, which is amazing because I don't remember we had a full house before, but I'm not sure. So don't pin me on that. But I think this is the first time that we've had a full house. This is the second day running. Tomorrow, same thing. It's a full house. That's cool. So I'm just looking up like the program and the things that are written here about the speakers, and what I'm actually wondering about is you focused on the Nitro part specifically, Nuxt 3, right?
It's a hard question.
Can you give the people like the elevator pitch of Nitro?
Okay, I'm stressed now. Well, Nitro is...
Sorry, not meant to put you on the spot, so...
Basically, Nitro started as something fun to explore, but it's kind of like not only the foundation engine for Nuxt 3, but it's also something like an idea. Moving away from an ecosystem that was depending on specific platforms, like AWS, like everyone knows about AWS, but what if you change your decision? So the idea is to make everything agnostic, remove this logs, and make everything free, so you can just choose your own platform you like and write the code in one way that you learn, and you can just change your decision later on, or you can create your own ideas on top of it. So it's basically like an open framework that you can make any server using it, and you can deploy it everywhere. It's all depending on you, how you are going to use it. And Nuxt is using it in one specific way, but there are many possible other ways.
So Nitro would be usable on its own without Nuxt?
Yes.
Yeah. And also, what is really nice is that usually when you have companies, they kind of struggle to move from a platform to another one because there are always some edge cases, and so this will really remove any boundaries regarding, all right, so this is not good enough, can we migrate? Yeah, nowadays it's like, oh no, because it won't take us weeks and months, but with this kind of agnostic solution, you can just move whenever you like, in just a few minutes or hours, and that's all.
So can you name one of those edge cases then? Where you would run into the issue like, hey, now we're locked in, we need to have a couple weeks of development as opposed to...
For example, if you take into account Cloudflare workers, this is a specific place where you don't have all the APIs that you can expect in a Node.js environment, and also you have some space limitations. There are plenty of them. I don't know all the technical sides of it, but I know that there is enough struggle for a DevOps team to like, oh no man, not again, so yeah, this is a really welcome solution, especially regarding that now we have Netlify, Vercel, AWS, everybody is like thinking edge side rendering, so this is really welcome and perfect. So thanks for that.
I fully agree about your opinions. Exactly, it's like whenever you want to change a decision, move away from something to other thing, you can just do this. But also, more importantly, I sometimes just want to discover a new platform, and for exploring something, I don't want to spend time. I just want to quickly see, okay, what if my code is run in a completely different setup? And using an abstraction like Nitro, you can just try it without any code changes. It's not a matter of hours, it's a matter of a few seconds.
So I could say, like, I've deployed my entire application to an AWS environment, for example. Using the power of Nitro, I could as easily switch to an Azure, G-Cloud, or any other cloud provider, or any other service provider that does this.
Of course we can.
Okay. And I mean, G-Cloud is still like somehow similar to the one, but if you take something really different, it still works. So yeah.
Provided it's supported by Nitro.
Provided you can run JS on this kind of environment.
Okay. So that's the only requirement. It needs to be able to have a JS runtime.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it can run on Node.js, V8, or any kind of appropriate exotic environment. Yeah, of course.
These are supported, indeed.
Right. Cool. That's just pretty cool. This gets me more excited again to dive into Nuxt 3. I keep on telling, like on the previous episodes with other speakers as well, like I'm a Vue.js noob, right? I had my first experience last October. I dove into Vue, I dove into Nuxt 2 specifically, because we're still waiting on Nuxt 3. Pooya, what about Nuxt 3, man? No, but it's a really nice sort of ecosystem to work with. It's nice, it's easy, it's very clean separation. But hearing that a tool like this would have saved us so much pain in the applications that I worked on, because it's easy to do server-side rendering, and it's platform agnostic, which is super awesome. So is there, as I said, like you focused specifically on Nitro with the talk, but are there any other aspects of Nuxt 3 that get you just as excited?
Yeah, of course. I think it was an online conference I also mentioned. Something that is really exciting me about Nuxt 3 is the DevTools that is coming. So it's important to be agnostic, to have advanced features like deploying to any platform, but it's also important to have a really nice experience when you're getting started with something, especially like if you are not familiar with something like Vue, if you're not familiar with working with command line tools like a terminal, you have to have like a good experience, just get you started. And Nuxt DevTools is bringing that. You can integrate it, and it's also going beyond that because it also integrates with your IDEs, like Visual Studio Code, and you can expect many features like buttons. If you want to debug your application, you don't have to write lots of complex commands. It just works like a button. And yeah, like sky would be the limit after that. Like things like playground with components, working with your API endpoints. If you want to try them, you can directly do that right inside your IDE, or in a cloud platform if you don't have any IDE.
That's cool.
I think that's probably even more exciting than Nitro.
The way it sounds to me then is just like one of the focus points of Nuxt 3 is like lowering the barrier for developers to work with the toolset, right?
Yep.
I think it's a really good philosophy. Is that something you try to do with all things when it comes to Vue.js and Nuxt? Like making the barrier lower for people to use the tools?
Yeah, and this is exactly what Daniel Rowe were talk about in his talk about DX in Nuxt. He actually just asked for a few feedbacks on Twitter of anybody, like, oh, what would you like in Nuxt? And so he gathered all the ideas to just improve the product. So yeah, and also we didn't mention it, but Nitro is not really meant to be Vue specific. It's really meant to be used by anybody. And some people already use some tools that the JS organization, so it's like the organization to remove any dependencies. Some people are already using their tools like IPX for images while they don't even know that this is Pooya working on it. So this is nice because it's not all, just thinking, oh, all right, we have this thing in Vue. No, it's like everybody can have access to it. So
it's not a Vue-bound thing. That's
yeah.
cool.
So this is really interesting and exciting.
So people are already using it, but is it widely known that Nitro is not Vue or Nuxt specific?
It will come, I think. By time we will.
Otherwise, we're going to make it really clear for the people watching right now. Like Nitro is not Vue or Nuxt specific.
Well, to the audience, use Vue, please. Use Nuxt, please. I love them, and I can't imagine like writing a website without Nuxt, to be honest. But you know, always having a possibility is nice, isn't it? And Nuxt is a little bit opinionated, so with Nitro we can try different setups of Vue as well.
I'm trying to look it up here on Nitro Edge. I see. That's the package, right? Not Nitro Edge?
Nitro Edge, yeah, it's like the latest release after each commit. It's like a release canal.
So
we may put some links under in the show notes to people to explore afterwards.
We'll put it up in the comments. Yeah, that'd be nice. That's really cool. So,
thanks,
in our interviews, we always like to round off with a question for every speaker. We are very interested in, do you have, for us and for people listening in and watching the video, do you have a developer life hack or a life hack in general that you've recently discovered, or maybe in the last year or so, that you would like to share?
Oh my God, that's a hard question.
Yeah, I do agree.
That's a really hard question.
I like asking the really hard questions, like the tough questions.
So I mean, the developer hacks that in past year I was trying to experiment because of coronavirus. I was all at home, so I was exploring some smart home things, ideas, and there is an open source framework called Home Assistant. If you're a developer, I would suggest you to try it. You can just make some crazy ideas on top of it.
So what have you created?
What I have created?
Yes.
So I bought very cheap Chinese equipments like LED strips, and I made them smart. And it was a waste of money because like when you open the cases, you see like there are some advanced chipsets inside it. They just are not having the software. So if you are a hacker, if you know some basic Python or JavaScript, you can just make it more smart. You can make it like Bluetooth LED strip maybe to a Wi-Fi strip, which is like costing 60 times probably more. So this is something as a hobby I do. I enhance the hardware.
So it's using the existing hardware that's already in there, but because it's been programmed, you hook into that, and then.
Exactly.
How do you hook into an LED strip?
As a matter of documentation, you can just look at some version numbers. You can just read more about docs. And actually, it was interesting because one of the equipment I opened, I saw the documentation, and the circuit was exactly the same as documentation in an example. Like the manufacturer just used the example to create the hardware.
Wow.
And
so that makes it easier to
exactly,
work.
And I could just see that how the wiring is working. Sometimes exploring things like this makes me amazed because programming is one part is just coding, but exploring with something physical for me is more exciting.
So do you have some motherboards that sometimes you do solder or this kind of electronical stuff?
Yes,
or?
I have kind of like a garbage of like things that I just broken.
Okay. Yeah, so you still need to get like some low-level basics and how assembler works or these kind of things. But yeah, it's really fun. I do agree. I did a bit of that at university, and it's really fun to you have some piece of hardware. And at the end, it's like a working thing with software. I'm like, oh man, I'm so proud of you, my baby.
Indeed.
I remember back when I was still working at an agency, they had the idea to create, the garden gnomes that if you walk past it goes. The whistling gnome. They wanted to replace the microarray and put in a Google Assistant, which is pretty funny. So you could talk to your garden gnome as if it were a Google Assistant.
And just make a sound.
Yeah. And anyway, you would have the omnidirectional mic, so you could stack that on top of something like a Pi. You know, you had the top hats with the different mics. But it never got to fruition, unfortunately. We never got past the prototype stage. But unfortunately, I don't have a lot of experience with actual electronics. But that was fun. It was indeed a lot of fun.
Exactly, that's the point. Like,
it's something new, you know. It's a different interface. It requires a different way of approaching things because it's not just web dev, which you're familiar with, right? You need to know the circuitry. You need to know what things to operate, which switch to throw, so that something happens.
Exactly, and to the audience, I would say you should never like fear of exploring new things. Like you don't even have to have like electronics experience to get started. You can just buy like a Raspberry Pi or like a development kit, and it's like master programming. So
I just put a
is
disclaimer on that because like if you jump from a plane without a parachute, it's kind of risky. So everything without just parachute jumping.
Yeah,
otherwise, yeah.
Maybe just not go into soldering just yet. Buy a Raspberry Pi. I think that's right?
This is really nice because it costs like $20 and you can mess up with it. You can fry it. It's not a big deal. But if you buy a real computer, yeah, it's a bit more annoying.
Don't buy a nice PC for this. I would not do that. All right.
Or just call Pooya.
So, actually, what's his phone number again? Let's put that in the notes. He'll be called every day like, Pooya, can you please help my
actually, as a spoiler, by the way, in my new blog, something I'm exploring in my home actually is a combination of Nitro and a board called ESP. It's like $7, you can't believe. It's a Wi-Fi board, and you can kind of run JavaScript on it. So something that I'm trying to do is to run Nitro on that board. And just imagine you can write code that runs on $7. Well, cheap. And
imagine you have your Nuxt app on your watch and you can deploy it from your watch with a swipe.
You can actually do that. I have a terminal in my watch.
All right.
I actually tried to run Nuxt. It doesn't have enough memory, but maybe we can optimize it later.
So maybe that's like the next step then. Get JavaScript to run with less memory. Thank you so much for coming on, man. This has been a real blast. It was fun. Thanks so much, and as well as our special guest, Constantine, here, because we've not seen Constantine on the podcast before. So
thank you for having me.
A big thank you.
Thanks for having me too.
And we'll see you again next time.
Bye.